Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I am your host and CEO of Vitality OET. We are a women's health, nutrition, and fitness company that focuses predominantly on women's hormones, particularly as they start going through perimenopause and onwards. We know that so many things change in your life in this time of your life, like hot flashes, night sweats, irritability, brain fog, and of course, weight gain around the belly that seems to have come out of absolutely nowhere. But we know now that your body is inherently different than it was before. This is why you're cutting calories, you're cutting carbs, you're doing a ton of cardio, and nothing is changing. The things that you used to do just don't work. And again, it's because your body is inherently different now. So our mission here at Vitality OET is to teach women about how their bodies change during this period in their life, so you can finally reach those health and fitness goals, feel in control of your body again, at home in your body again, and live a life full of vitality and really understand how to take care of this new body. So today I want to talk about the holidays because it is end of October when I'm releasing this, but it's mid-October now, and it is Canadian Thanksgiving here. And I love the holiday seasons. The holiday season is among us. I'm excited to celebrate Thanksgiving again for American Thanksgiving because I love Thanksgiving. However, being in the midst of the holiday season now, you know what that means. It means lots of food, family events, parties. And for most of us, that's also going to mean either weight gain or this fear of weight gain over the holiday season. And there is, unfortunately, a study that came out of the London Journal of Medicine that stated most people gain the most weight starting at the beginning of October, which is when some people would argue that's the beginning of the holiday season, and that weight gain peaks just after New Year's. And what's more on top of that is that the weight gain that you gain during this holiday season takes an average of 5 months to get back off. That's a whole half a year that you're going to be struggling and working just to get back to where you are today. So it's going to take you until May for you to look exactly the way you are right now, let alone try and get to where you actually want to be. So it's not to scare you. This is to prepare you. So not only does weight gain happen during the holiday seasons, but for many women, you'll start to experience even more significant changes in hormonal imbalance symptoms over the holidays, like night sweats and hot flashes, bloating, joint pain, just to name a few. Then you toss in some extra poor sleep, you've got some moodiness, you've got your mother-in-law who criticized your dry turkey. So then you start going for that extra glass of wine, and then you walk by the cookies and you grab something else. And then it's like, oh, the list goes on and on. You're like, screw it. I'm just going to deal with this in January. I just need to get through this or whatever it may be. And that sucks. And I'm not saying that my mother-in-law says my turkey is dry. She's not experienced my turkey yet, and she's absolutely the best. So not the case for me, but unfortunately the case for most of you. So what can we do to avoid this holiday weight gain and stop the stressing that it's going to happen and stop those hormonal imbalances from getting worse? We can break this cycle and avoid the weight gain this time of year. And I'm going to talk you through how we do this with our clients and some of the strategies that us as coaches utilize to make sure that this doesn't happen, because it sucks to see this happen to women over and over and over again. I don't want you to take until May to get back to where you are right now and then to actually start working towards the goal that you had today. So let's break this down. So first of all, why does weight gain happen over the holidays? You may think that it's a simple answer. Duh, we eat all the food, we eat all the treats. And while that's like partially right, but there's other things that you need to also consider during perimenopause and onwards, because there are a ton of reasons. So first of all, I want us to take a step back and take us through some basic biology first. And that is that women are far more sensitive to stress in their environment than men are. It sucks. It just has to do with hormones. We have hormonal communication pathways that men don't have connected to our stress response system. And that makes our bodies respond more acutely to stress or changes and can make hormonal fluctuations pretty drastic, actually. And then if you're going to add like perimenopause and menopause to that mix, where we're already dealing with hormonal imbalances and fluctuations, we have a body that's not only sensitive to stress, but now extra sensitive to stress because we have a lower ability to deal with stress when our estrogen and progesterone levels go down. So for example, let's think about a holiday season in your 20s per se. And you could deal with a bad breakup, your parents hounding you for not dating the right guy, getting upset with you over university grades. You could party lots, you can go with no sleep, and the list goes on and on. You could deal with a lot and like do pretty decent. Now we're going through perimenopause and menopause, and estrogen and progesterone start to go down. So now you're dealing with your mother-in-law criticizing your cooking. Your dad is being rude to your husband. Your kids are super not behaving, and your parents are allowing them to have whatever candy that they want, which they did not do with you, which kind of makes you upset. You're traveling or people are coming to you. So now you're worrying about your house being clean. You're not sleeping as well, or you're going somewhere else for Thanksgiving and the bed isn't great. So you're not sleeping well. And it's just stress on top of stress on top of stress. And before you could handle like, let's say maybe a 5 out of 10 on the stress scale, a 9 out of 10 on the stress scale. And now it only takes a 5 out of 10 for you to see these crazy hormonal changes, hormonal symptoms, the cortisol goes up, and all the negative side effects that come along with it. So we just can't deal with the stress like we could before. And we're probably dealing with a little bit more stress than we were before. Maybe you're having Thanksgiving and you might think it's the last one that you have with your grandparents or your parents or whatever that looks like. We're dealing with a lot of stress in this time of our life. So our stress threshold is so much lower, which is going to cause a ton of issues. Thank you, perimenopause and menopause. So we're also going to see when that stress response goes up. So it takes a 5 out of 10, stress goes up, cortisol goes up, our stress hormone. That stress hormone is going to decrease the ability for us to produce our hormones. So progesterone and estrogen are going to go down even more, which lowers our stress threshold even lower. So now it's only a 4 out of 10 instead of a 5 out of 10. And you can see how this goes on and on and on. And let's face it, the holidays aren't always the most relaxing, unfortunately, for some of us. So why are holidays such a large contributor to weight gain for so many of us? Yes, we typically eat more and we're typically more inconsistent with our food intake. So we have big family dinners, those wonderful holiday treats. For me, I'm a big pecan pie and butter tart girl. And I love to serve that under a heaping mountain of ice cream. That is my favorite. Or maybe those Halloween candies start making their way into the house from the grandkids and the kids. And these can all be sneaky causes of caloric inconsistency. So we eat maybe 1,500 calories one day and then 2,300 the next. And then we overcompensate and drop to 1,200. And then we try to do that for a few days and then it goes up because we have a party or whatever it may be. So what happens is we have this inconsistency, and then our average weekly intake also goes up as well. So the more inconsistent that we're actually with our intake, that's a lot of stress we put on our hormonal communication pathways in our body as well. So what this means is, okay, I'm going to give you an example. So imagine that you are in a great relationship. I would like to compare this to mine and Taylor's, where, I know he's going to be supportive of me. I know what to anticipate. I can tell how he's feeling. I'm not walking on eggshells. Like, it's consistent. It's good. I'm not playing defense. I'm not walking on eggshells. Then I think about past relationships where maybe I didn't know how the person was going to react. I was always worried about how they were going to feel. I was constantly kind of on edge or nervous of their reactions and things like that. And you're playing defense all the time. This is what happens to your body when there isn't consistent caloric intake in. If we're fluctuating all the time, it's like we're in that eggshell type of relationship where our body's just kind of on edge and we're not knowing what to anticipate. So we're just trying to brace ourselves for impact, which results in like fat storage because our body's just not sure what's going to come next. Whereas if we're in a good, healthy relationship and we're having consistent caloric intake, our body knows when to anticipate. It's safe. It's a lot easier for inflammation to go down. It's less stressful. It's one less variable adding stress to your body. So typically when we see women having a consistent caloric intake, they do significantly better with nutrition or their hormonal symptoms, as well as their body composition and changes, how easy it is for them to lose weight, things like that, compared to people who are inconsistent. Even if their caloric intake is the same week to week, the person who is inconsistent in their calorie intake, it fluctuates a lot, will typically not do as well because our body views it as a stress. So there's that. Inconsistent and eating more. Makes sense. The next one is we might be eating more than in summertime, because in summertime tends to be when we try to diet and slim down. I'm the opposite. I like to try and focus on losing weight in the early months of winter. So like January to March, and then like early fall, maybe like August to October. Because in summertime, I want to enjoy patio drinks. I want to have my s'mores. I want to have my ice cream. In wintertime or fall or whatever weird it is from October to December, I love holiday pies. I love the treats, the holiday baking. I love it. And I'm not going to restrict myself during those times. But for most people, they're panic dieting in the summertime. They're trying to slim down. And it makes it a lot likely for us to have a significantly different eating style in summertime versus the fall holiday months, because in the summertime, it's easier to eat salads and fresh fruits and things like that because they're in season. Those are higher volume, lower calorie. In the wintertime, you want the pasta, you want things that have lots of calories to them, and they might not be quite as filling compared to a salad, which is lower calorie and ton of volume, whereas we tend to have the same amount of volume, but there are a lot more calorie dense options. And it's not to say that that's bad, but the way we eat is different, and we need to acknowledge that. And unfortunately, in the summertime, we tend to be ridiculously restrictive in our caloric intake. And what happens is our body's metabolism adapts to the signal that we're sending it. So our body's like, oh, we're not getting enough calories in. We're going to decrease the calories out portion of the equation. That's not just exercise. That's your hormonal balance, your hormonal function, your thyroid function. That's the thermostat that determines how well your body is at burning calories. So your body will actually slow that down without you knowing that, to help balance out calories in, calories out. And then we go back to our pre-diet ways of eating, and we're not doing it slowly. We just go back to the way we were before. And now our metabolism has slowed down. So we're eating more than our body is naturally burning with all these internal factors, resulting in weight gain. So this is why it's really important to ease out of a diet, to increase calories slowly and actually pay attention to these things, because that's why you gain the weight back afterwards, is your metabolism is slowed down, and we need to increase calories slowly so your metabolism can speed up with it. It matches the amount of food coming in. Our body loves balance, but a lot of us don't do that. And again, that's just something you really need to be aware of. And I know this is coming out probably a little bit late for most of you, being like, I did not come out of my summer diet well. I know, I'm sorry, but I do my best. I just have too many ideas for podcasts, and sometimes I make it out in a time that's good enough for you guys, that's like most useful, and sometimes not so much, but I do my best. So again, even if like, let's say you didn't diet in the summertime, you're probably eating those different foods, like I said, like the less calorie dense options. And again, the more calorie dense options aren't bad. They have a ton of health benefits, like a ton, especially hormonally. So great for us. Like potatoes, for example, increase serotonin, which is our happy hormone. And that can actually help a ton with our gut health as well. And like our gut health is important. That is where that serotonin is produced. So having your potatoes can actually really help you make you feel happy. So have those potatoes at Thanksgiving. Super great option. So sidebar, I just really love that fact because I love carbs. I love potatoes. So if you want to feel happy and have more serotonin in your body, eat more potatoes. Fun fact. So again, there's a lot of benefits to having those more calorie dense options, but we do need to pay attention on the increase and making sure we're increasing slowly. Important. The next thing is that we are less active. So in the summertime, typically it's a lot easier to be active. The weather is nice. I don't know where all of you live, but I live in Regina, Saskatchewan, which is the Canadian prairies. And in the summertime, we go by Celsius. So if you don't know, I'm sorry. But I don't do American Fahrenheits. The numbers don't make sense to me. I couldn't even give you an estimation. But for example, in the summertime, it's like 30 degrees here, 40 degrees sometimes, like high 20s. Then in the wintertime, it's minus 40. And I don't know about you guys. I'm sure you can imagine minus 40 is cold, but it's not very conducive to wanting to leave your house or go for a walk for anything. So in the summertime, it's a lot easier to be more active. We go to the lake more, whether that's conscious or not. Like when the weather is nice outside, it's a lot easier to be active or do some of those outdoor activities and go paddleboarding or kayaking or walking or biking or whatever those things may be. And when it gets colder, not so much. So it's important to be aware of that as well. That's a contributing factor to all of this, and we need to adjust things accordingly. And so then we're burning less calories in a day, obviously. And then for some of us too, when there's less sunlight in the wintertime, it's not only makes us less likely to want to be outside, but it can also trigger seasonal depressive disorders, or you feel like you just have less energy, less zest for life. And it's just really tempting to stay home under your like plug-in heated blanket and just watch Netflix and binge watch Friends or Grey's Anatomy. This is me. This is me, you guys. I'm a big Friends and Grey's Anatomy buff. I love it. So the next part is, so far we've covered reasons is we're eating more inconsistently. We're typically eating more. We're eating more than we do in the summertime, or the types of foods and eating habits we have are different. We're less active. And then my favorite topic is stress. You guessed it. We're never going to get away from this topic in a podcast ever. And this looks different for everyone. For some of us, school starts in September, and by October and November, we are neck deep in extracurriculars, being the taxi mom, taking our kids to whatever sports they need to go to and activities. Maybe you start helping with school projects and homework. You volunteer to coach the volleyball team. If you're a teacher, oh boy, I know that your workload gets pretty crazy. And there's a lot of other seasonal jobs that are kind of in the exact same boat where you have a lot more stress in the fall and winter than you did in the summertime. So for a lot of us, the holiday season comes with, unfortunately, a lot of responsibility. And there's a lot of weight on your shoulders, particularly as women as a household. Our typical role is we are the ones that are going to be cooking the Thanksgiving supper or the Christmas supper or whatever holidays it is that you're celebrating. So you're planning for these family gatherings. You're cooking meals, but you're also taking care of others. You're putting everybody else first. You're cleaning. You're making the packing list. You're also trying to take care of like your own health and things like that. And it's really easy for those kind of habits to fall back, because the first thing when we get busy or we're taking care of sick parents and dealing with friends and family and kids and all these things is our health and our fitness really goes on the back burner. And this is a huge reason that we see women coming through our program with these insane hormonal imbalances, is that you're just giving. And when things are good, it's easier to take time for your own health, right? Like when things are less stressful, it's a lot easier to deal with things. But the people who typically do best are the people that come to us when they are in a time of stress, because we help you figure out these basic building blocks and establish these habits and self-accountability and give you all the tools and resources and support during these tough times. So then when life gets easier, it's a cakewalk. It's so much easier to keep up with things. But then when things get tough again, you're like, oh yeah, I can do this because I've done this before. I remember what helped me prioritize these things and plan these things and structure these things. So it ends up being incredibly helpful. So again, sidetracking there, coming back, the holiday season is a stress. Let's be on it. For some of us too, there's a ton of grief attached to it. Last Christmas, for example, we always did Christmas on Christmas Eve at my family, because in Latin culture, that's what we did. You would like stay up till midnight and have food from like 11 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning the next day, open presents at midnight. And it was great. It was awesome. Oh man, I'm going to cry. Whew, dang it. But last Christmas was the first Christmas without my mom. If there's awkward silences, you guys, I'm sorry. It's me just trying to choke down some tears here. And like Christmas Eve was okay. I did better than I thought. I was distracted. We were playing board games with family, and that was super good. But Christmas Day was hard. Oh my goodness. And it's because, we didn't have anything planned. And you have a lot of time to like think and reminisce. And grief is stress. Like when you lose a loved one, like holidays can be really hard. Darn it. Okay. Get it together, Steph. It is. Grief is a form of stress, and holiday seasons can be so hard when you're missing a loved one. It doesn't matter how fresh it is. It doesn't matter if they've been gone for a long time. It's still hard. And it's to be expected. And it's going to come in waves. And some years it might be easier than others. But it is hard. And like, that is a stress. And stress, unfortunately, does lead to hormonal issues and weight gain. And so holidays can be stressful for so many different reasons. And like Not to mention some of us don't have maybe the greatest relationships with our family members. And let's be honest, it happens to a lot of us, right? And it's tough to navigate. You can go and feel really judged or not welcomed. Sometimes in-laws aren't great. I'm blessed with great ones. I'm very, very grateful and blessed to have them. But I know that's not the case for many people. And it's challenging, and you go in already on the defense, and you're already going in very stressed, and trying to get through crazy dynamic family gatherings can be tough, or like splitting time between separated parents. And, you have to deal with them like talking crap about each other or things like that, or people picking sides. Like the holidays aren't always as simple and as joyful and as wonderful as we anticipate them to be. And that's okay. I think it's not always going to be a Hallmark movie. There are aspects that can be great, and you got to like focus on those for sure. But it isn't always going to be this glamorous Hallmark movie. And when you're looking at the social media of other people and posting their pictures, just remember that you're watching their highlight reel. And it's okay that if your reality isn't like that, that might not even be theirs. But all of this is to say that the holidays are stressful. They can be so stressful in so many different aspects. So just give yourself a little bit of grace. Okay, so let's wheel this back into all this stuff. That was tough. I got through it. Oh my goodness, you guys. Whew. Okay, so inconsistent eating, again, is also going to be at stress on that body. We already talked about that, and that does happen a lot in our holiday season. So whatever the cause of your stress is, which we talked about can be a number of things, or why we gain weight over the holidays, is that typically eating more and inconsistently. We're changing our eating habits and activity habits from summertime, experiencing tons of stress from being busy, having multiple identities and roles and responsibilities, being go, having all of this stress from dealing with like sick family members or having grief or poor relationships. All of these things are going to result in that weight gain we see over the holidays. And unfortunately, for some of us, we tick all of those boxes. We do. And it's really hard. So regardless of what your stress is over the holidays, or even if you're aware that that's a stress, you think you just handle it and I'm doing okay, it's okay to not be okay. And that stress is there. And we just have to be mindful of the fact that there are things that are stressing us out that we might not be aware of, or we're kind of ignoring or pushing down. And regardless as to whether you acknowledge it or not, you're going to have higher levels of cortisol circulating through your body. And it can cause a huge cascade of other hormonal imbalances in your body, leading to weight gain. Those imbalances can cause things like, or can be things like a depressed thyroid. So a slowing of metabolism, that thermostat, your body is really crappy at burning calories. You can have disrupted digestive health from too much stress, more bloating, more IBS. You can have heartburn, indigestion. You can have diarrhea. You can have constipation. You can have food sensitivities. All these things happen from disrupted digestive health. And then you're also going to see a reduced ability to build certain hormones when cortisol is high, like progesterone and estrogen. You're going to see an increase in other ones like androgens, leading to PCOS type symptoms, which leads to weight gain and hormonal issues and insulin resistance and things like that as well. So it's also mindful to be aware that we also deal with these things during perimenopause and menopause. So the stress response is really just going to make this worse. And it can really lead to more symptoms like increased cravings, energy crashes, or just low energy in general, just a feeling of low vitality, worse performance in your workouts. You're just feeling exhausted. You can actually see a decrease in your muscle mass, nutrient deficiencies, and all these things work together to lead to weight loss resistance or weight gain over the holidays. And of course, leading to a slower metabolism, which makes all of this so much harder. So I know I just gave you all the bad news of like why we're seeing so much weight gain over the holidays, that it starts in October, it peaks after New Year's, it takes until May to get back to where you were prior to this weight gain, let alone any additional weight gain or any additional weight loss that you were hoping to see before this holiday season. So now that I've given you all the bad news, and I've cried with you a little bit and you know a little bit more about me. Here are some strategies that we use particularly in coaching to help navigate the holidays and what coaches work with as well that I hope will be helpful for you. So the first one is trying to keep your routine the same. So this can be really challenging, even around days that you know you're going to indulge. Like tonight, I'm going to go over to Taylor's parents' house, which is literally a stone's throw away. We live on the same land for Thanksgiving supper. So make sure you're trying to maintain a regular routine. You're not changing your routine to make up for that family dinner or holiday work party or whatever it may be. That might actually not be positive because then we're creating a poor relationship with food. We're having potentially more negative self-talk. It leads to binging and restricting cycles. It affects our blood sugar and causes a lot of stress on our body. So for example, today, like I'm eating like I normally do. I'm not like fasting all day to save my calories for later. No, I'm going to go over. I'm going to enjoy what there is like for food. Like I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy that time. And then tomorrow I'm just going to go back to my regular routine. I'm not going to overcompensate by cutting a bunch of calories or fasting or doing some stupid juice cleanse or whatever. Like I am just going back to my regular normal. But that's it. You keep your routine. Second is do not fast. Not eating breakfast because you think it's going to help you save calories, like I just mentioned, is going to do a couple things for you. The first is it's going to increase your stress hormone, which we know is going to result in muscle loss and issues with blood sugar and things like that. It lead to fat storage, all those things. And it's also going to make you have more cravings. And by the time you get to your Thanksgiving supper or whatever holiday event it is, it's going to be really hard to control yourself around food because you're going to be freaking starving, leading to you eating more than you would and then potentially having like feeling not great, obviously. But then you're also going to potentially get into this binge restrict cycle where you're going to eat more than you typically would if you were just eating like regularly during the day. So we really try to encourage women to not fast the morning of like an event. Like that's just eat normally. The next one is, again, eat before big meals. It can sound counterintuitive, but the more satisfied we are going into a meal, the more control we have over those big meals. So aim to eat regularly. Again, keep that routine normal so that you stay satisfied. Really, really, really avoid going into an event or a party hungry, because I promise you that will never end well and you will not feel well after. You will feel guilty or ashamed, even though you shouldn't. So do not make that mistake. The next one is pre-plan for protein. So if you know that you have a upcoming holiday, it can be unpredictable or busy. So really focusing on getting your protein earlier in the day can be super monumental to make sure you're still hitting those protein goals. Because like, let's face it, by the time you get there to supper time and there's those dinner rolls and, you know, all those wonderful things. And no matter what those last minute decisions are, you know, you at least got like 60 grams of protein earlier in the day. So it's a lot easier to hit those protein goals. It's going to help you with your blood sugar control. It's going to keep you more satisfied. It's going to keep you more full. It's going to help you avoid binging. So pre-planning your protein earlier in the day can really set you up for success in that holiday supper or whatever it is that you're going to. Getting right back on track after a big meal. Obviously, do not restrict yourself or skip meals. The next day, like I mentioned, just get right back to your normal focus. If you focus on getting back to a normal routine, it'll be far less stressful on your body. Same with your exercise routine. Try to keep that as normal as you can. And even if you can't get that in like how you normally would, just asking your family to go for a walk. It can be a great quality time to spend with them. Or if you don't like spending time with them and it's stressful, just tell them, oh, I like to go for a walk after supper. Sweet. I get your alone time and you can de-stress, which is a great option as well. Alcohol. So I'm not going to touch too much on this. It's just be aware that alcohol has a great way of sneaking in a ton of extra calories that have no nutritional value for you. It's also going to stress out your body. It increases your resting cortisol levels. It is also going to result in a body bouncing back and retaining fluid for the next 3 to 4 days. So the scale will go up. So just be aware of that. It can also affect your estrogen levels in your body. So try and give yourself a tangible limit of how much you want to drink for each week or each event or things like that. And then switch to whatever other drink that you want. So I used to do, because I'm not a big drinker myself. So I used to say I was having a vodka soda lime. I would just have literally soda water and like lime juice in it. And like nobody would know. It was fine. And it's just, yeah, like I personally would rather eat my calories because I would much rather have a butter tart than like 2 glasses of wine. That's just me. And then also give yourself a treat limit. So like tell yourself what you're really looking forward to dessert wise. A good thing that I like to do as well is like you sample a couple things, like maybe take like a teeny tiny bite of each, and then you decide which thing you actually want, because it's the worst to grab a dessert and eat it and be like, oh, it wasn't that good. I'm not satisfied. I'm going to go back and have something else. Like if you don't like it, just don't eat it. That's fine. So pick like what that limit is going to be for you. And then also remember, you don't have to finish your plate. It's a waste either way. It goes into your body when you're not hungry and you're not enjoying it anymore, or it just goes in the trash. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to be a waste of food. We're not living in this place anymore where like food is very scarce. There is no shame in not finishing it. It's not a big deal. I know like a lot of us grew up where you couldn't leave the table unless you like finished your plate and yada, yada, yada. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that at all. And then also another thing is control what you can and let go of what you cannot. So if you feel like there are certain aspects of the holidays that are really hard for you to have control around, control the environment instead. So for me, I have a sweet tooth. Like holiday baking is a problem. Like this wasn't like when I was in university, and I actually puked the next morning because like I ate probably close to my body weight in baking. I'm going to be honest. My mom was an incredible baker, and that was not good. I don't have control around that stuff. Like yes, I can control myself. Like I have to take ownership for that responsibility, but I set myself up for success by just not having that in the house. And that's just how I am. And people are like, well, that's not a good relationship with food. And it's like, no, that's just being smart. The people who tend to be more successful, who are more disciplined, who are more determined, statistically just surround themselves with less temptation. Like if someone is quitting alcohol, let's say, like you probably wouldn't see them just like hanging around a bar, right? You control your environment for success. And this is no different. You can bring like 0 calorie, like soda water drinks and bubblies and stuff like that instead of having an alcoholic beverage. Or you might bring like your own high protein dessert or fruit as an option afterwards. Make sure maybe that you're not sure what that'll be for veggies. Maybe you're the person who brings the salads, at least you'll get some greens on your plate. Like just set yourself up for success that way, and make sure you're not cutting out food groups. Restricting food groups because you think it will help you eat less will actually create more hyper focus on the things that you've told yourself you can't have, which makes self-sabotage a whole heck of a lot easier. So you have to remember everything's in moderation, and some things are more moderate than others, but the best way to be consistent long-term is to not cut out everything. Because I don't know about you guys, but if someone's like, you can't have carbs, I kind of want to throat punch them. Like I love my carbs, and if you tell me I can't have something, I'm going to have it. If you tell me I can't have chocolate, that's all I think about. So making sure you have moderation is really, really important. And cutting out food groups can lead to nutritional deficiencies that can contribute to more stress on the body, lead to more hormonal imbalances. Like cutting carbs can actually lead to increased insulin resistance and a decrease in thyroid function. Because when we're on a low carb diet, what we see is our body breaks down muscle for energy, and we'll push up our blood sugars that way anyways if we're in a stressed state. And then our body needs to shut all those sugars somewhere. So insulin goes up, leading to insulin resistance if this occurs long term. And then it can't take it to muscle cells for storage because there's less muscle because we're breaking it down, and it gets stored as fat. We don't want that. That's not a good situation to be in. We have to stop thinking of foods as like good or bad. Just some are more nutritious, less nutritious, more calorie dense, less calorie dense, more nutrients, less nutrients, more filling, less filling, more fiber, less fiber, more processed, less processed. It's not good and bad. So be aware of that. So this is where we ran this last year, and it was super successful and really great. So we created a 5 weeks to avoiding holiday weight gain program. It is a super simple, foolproof program to navigate the holidays with ease. So what this means is over the course of 5 weeks, we help you set yourself up for success so you don't see this crazy holiday weight gain that was going to take you until May to lose, if you're lucky, just to get you back to where you are today, let alone to where your goal actually is. So this is a super simple course. We have live trainings every single week in our Facebook group, a private Facebook group for you guys, to really set you up for success. So instead of going from feeling super stressed over the holidays and being exhausted and irritated and feeling super overwhelmed, now you feel in control. You actually start having energy. You can enjoy your favorite holiday treats without binging, without guilt, and without any weight gain, which is amazing. So doesn't that sound like a really awesome holiday season compared to maybe how your past ones went? That you can actually enjoy, and you're in a group with women who are all going through the same thing, and you can share your holiday stresses and stories. It was really fun last year. So some info on that is the cost is for 5 weeks long. It starts November 13th to the December 17th. We have applications open today, and they're only open for a few days. You do have the option to add on a custom macro roadmap, so a nutritional roadmap for yourself if you like, and that's 60% off our regular price. And the program, for details on that, you can head to the link below. It is going to be so amazing. It was very helpful for a lot of women to maintain their current weight. That way, come January, when they were ready to actually go into their fat loss phase, they didn't have all this extra weight to lose that they gained over the holiday season, which was amazing. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. The link for that is going to be below in the show notes. Again, it's only open for a couple days for registration. It filled up super, super fast last year. We go over a ton of different topics, like how to set yourself up for a successful holiday season. There's exercise programming there with travel exercise programming as well. So just body weight ones or just bands. That way, if you're traveling, you can utilize that. You have access to our fitness app. We help you understand how to avoid binging, how to handle your stress, how to structure your meals, how to plan ahead, how to balance your plate, learning about protein, how this all has to do with hormonal imbalances. And again, you have that option to add on that 8-week custom macro plan for 60% off, which will take you right into the new year to set you up for success so you don't have all this extra weight to lose come January. I hope you found this very helpful. I'm sorry that I cried. It's still pretty fresh. I lost my mom a year and a half ago. It'll be 2 years in February, and it was very suddenly and out of nowhere, completely unexpected. So I still deal with that stuff. It's tough. So if you are someone who also deals with that kind of stuff, reach out. I'm always happy to help. I'm always happy to chat. I will be doing a podcast on grief and stress in general and how to adjust your nutrition and training around that, because it was really hard for me, and I just want to be able to help as many people as I can who have dealt with that as well. So if you're interested in the 5 weeks for avoiding holiday weight gain, please head to the link below. Message me if you have any questions. Talk to you soon, and have a great day. Bye.